Hey, welcome to Hot at Home, your questions answered. Alright, so today we've got a great question from one of my very loyal customers, actually. And the first statement he made in his email to me was that he was really glad that he picked up my program. You provide a tremendous amount of superb material, he says, about Hot at Home. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, grab it. Because Bill's right. And thank you, Bill, for that. I really appreciate that. It's really a very kind comment. He goes on to say, I will admit that I am paralyzed by the number of different exercise programs that I have. My goal is to understand the minimum effort required in order to get the maximum results. From what I saw, I like your program, but would consider modifying it with the best from other programs. Big challenge, he puts in brackets. So I think that he goes on to something else, but I'm going to address this first. First of all, I would suggest to don't be so too analytical with what you've got, with the resources that you've currently got. You might be becoming a victim of analysis or paralysis by analysis paralysis, wherein you've got, you're inundated, you feel inundated by all this information that you actually have. So because you're inundated, don't really know where to start. So instead of getting out of reading mode, you just stay in reading mode and researching mode and finding out what's the best, and never really get into really working something hard. My suggestion to you is to pick one program and work it as written, as prescribed. There's a lot of programs out there. A lot of them are really, really great programs, and I trust that the ones you've picked up are probably the best of the best. So the ones you've got are good, and the ones that are good are really well written, and there really is no reason to start trying to chop them up and pairing a little bit of Hot at Home with a little bit of turbulence training, or a little bit of Truth About Abs with a little bit of Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle and Hot at Home, and before you know it, you're so busy buried in trying to mix and match that you're really not getting much done. And the other thing is these programs are written a specific way to make sure that you get a full body workout too. So once you start mixing and matching, you might be completely missing a body part without even realizing it, because you're pairing certain exercises up but completely neglecting something that you just didn't even realize you were neglecting, because you're not doing what the person that wrote the program was intending when they wrote the program. They wrote it a very specific way to make sure you got each body part handled and properly worked out on a certain schedule depending on your goals. And don't forget, a lot of these programs have different goals as well. I mean, people buy different programs for different reasons. Some people want to build a lot of muscle, some people want to burn a lot of fat. Some people want to become faster runners, or whatever. So some people want to save time. The people that buy Hot at Home want to work out exclusively at home, with minimal equipment. So when you start mixing and matching, you start to really tear up the good intentions of the person that wrote the program. So my suggestion would be to not start picking and mixing and matching and tearing apart a program and putting the best of the best with the best of the best, because you might not be doing that. You might be completely neglecting a huge area that and be doing yourself a huge disservice instead. So pick one and do it. Don't get all caught up in the minutia of trying to mix and match, and don't get caught up in analysis paralysis either. Always buying new programs and always deciding what's good in that program, and okay, well, how I'm going to mix it with this one, and never getting out of that zone to actually just pick up some weights and doing it. You know what I mean? So and then Bill goes on to say, I enjoy reviewing and using, yeah, I'm glad to hear that, you're using them, a very large list of exercise programs that I own. You would think if one was better than all the rest, there would be no need for any of the others. Presently, I feel that at least 6 of them are very good, and I can use pieces from all of them. Okay, well, we already discussed the whole using pieces of each, program. I would tend to agree with you. There are at least 6 of them out there. There's probably more than that. But again, there are a lot of ones that aren't that great as well. So sifting through and finding the ones that are good can be a challenge. But it sounds to me like you're well versed in online shopping for fitness programs, and that you probably do have some that are very, very good. If you've chosen Hot at Home, I know you've got at least one that's good. But in any way, we've talked about chopping them up and using pieces from each. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on with this comment was, you said you would think if one was better than all the rest, there would be no need for any of the others. No, I completely disagree with that. changing things up often is a good thing. And it's one of the reasons I wrote Hot at Home the way I did. There's over 40 weeks of workouts in Hot at Home, and I've written them in a way that changes you up on a schedule that keeps you from hitting a plateau of where you stop seeing results. Because if you work out a certain way for too long, your body starts to get smart about that, and it will adjust itself in preparation for that, and eventually you'll stop seeing results completely because your body just knows. You know, I've got friends who work the same workout program for 2 years. Yeah, I know, they won't listen to me. They don't see results. They're like, why gotta I see results? I tell them why, but they're so comfortable in what they're doing that they don't want to change what they're doing. And unfortunately, they'll never see results because they're doing exactly the same thing with exactly the same weights, the exactly same amount of reps and sets on the exact same exercises, and that's their routine. They just go and they do it. They can turn their head off and they just do it. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to write anything down. But they also will never see results from that. So I think there will always be a need for other exercise programs. Even if you buy something like Hot at Home that has 40 weeks worth of workouts that change you up on a schedule that makes sure you don't hit plateaus, eventually you're going to come to the end of those 40 weeks. And while I wrote it that way for a reason, at the end of those 40 weeks, you can go back to the beginning and your body won't remember what the beginning was, and you can work through them again. So you really can sort of work through Hot at Home around and around and around and around a lot. But, you know, I mean, Hot at Home's written with a certain style of workout. There's mostly it's supersets and super circuits. Maybe once in a while you'll want to do something that involves more sort of heavier weights and more resting. And really sort of, you know, if you were a bodybuilding champion, you probably wouldn't be aiming at doing supersets and burning lots of fat. You would be aiming at building tons and tons of big muscle for your competition. So, you know, and even if you're an average person that is working out at home, you can still change things up and give your body something completely different to make things fresh again and confuse it and get your body sort of giving you results again. Because the minute you start to confuse your body, that's when it has to start changing itself in order to keep up with what you're throwing at it. So it will show you results. Now, that being said, if you confuse it too often, you change things up with every single workout, you can never make any actual progress. So if you're trying to build muscle by doing chest presses or whatever, if you're only doing chest press once every 3 months, because you're so busy changing things up, then you'll never see any progress with your chest press because you won't be doing it often enough. So it's important to work a program for a certain amount of time, whatever the person that wrote the program prescribed. For me, it's between 6 and 8 weeks for my program. You work that program for 6 to 8 weeks, just at the point where your body is like, yeah, I get this. You change it. You move to a different program. But during those 6 to 8 weeks, you do progressions, you know, where you'll change something within that program, and Hot at Home explains all that. You got it, so you can read it, and anybody who doesn't have it should pick it up. But you know, you can make those slight changes, those progression changes for the structured variability protocol that I have written into it, to keep yourself changing in a way that doesn't change so much that you don't make progress. So you'll make progress, but at a certain point your body will get completely used to what you're doing, so that's when you move on to the next program. So then you work the next program for the next 6 to 8 weeks, again with the progression protocol in it, and continue to progress like that. And then again, when you're at the end of your 40 weeks, then you can go back to the beginning and start from scratch only with heavier weights, because by now you've trained yourself and you're stronger. Or you can move on to something else for a few weeks, and then if you want, come back to Hot at Home or move on to something else. But definitely see these programs through the way they're written, because they were written the way they were by very smart, educated people trained to know how to do this, and to not do it the way that they've prescribed is to not get full maximum results from the program. So I think there's need for more than one program out there. There's lots of room in everybody's life to have more than one program in their possession, and to work through it and to come back to it and leave it for a few months. And don't worry, leave it for a few months, come back to it, you know, whatever. But yeah, there will never be one program that is perfect forever for everybody, because it depends on your goals, and you need to change things up often to keep seeing progress. So let's see. Nope, that was it. That was all my points that I needed to make. Anyway, so I hope that really helped you out, and we'll see you guys again soon. Take care.